Waiting for our last performance this afternoon. Before we begin the performance for the 11th and 12th grade symphonic band, we would like to thank these two gentlemen who I believe have had to step out for other commitments this evening. They were the rehearsal assistants for this band, Mr. Mike Bearden, North Paulding High School, and Mr. Michael Brown from Paulding County High School. If you know those gentlemen, tell them that we talked about them here at the concert today, and they'll get their mind wondering. I want to say another very special thanks to Mr. Blair Calloway from Heritage High School. Mr. Calloway, he and Mr. Bill Wynn, they hosted the high school rehearsals over at Heritage High School in their wonderful facility that they have. Blair put together all of the folders for the 9th and 10th grade as well as 11th and 12th grade bands, which was very time consuming. And so Blair, thank you for your efforts in preparing for this, and we really appreciate all of your efforts on his behalf. Yes, absolutely. Now, I want you to look and see who is sitting on the stage now before you. If you are a member of the National Honor Society at your school, raise your hand. If you're in the Beta Club, raise your hand. If you are in the Student Council, raise your hand. If you're a class officer, raise your hand. Okay, 2, all right. 3. If you're an Eagle Scout or close to being an Eagle Scout, raise your hand. If you have a black belt in karate, raise your hand. If you're on a sports team, any sports team at your school, raise your hand. And we could go on, pardon? Does marching band count as a sport? Heck yeah, it counts. I don't know if you ever marched 180 beats per minute in 95-degree weather, being attacked by yellow jackets. Of course, it's a sport. You know, I'm surprised we only had 4 people that marched. And we could go on and on and on. Here's the kind of young men and young women. I know it may be a little early for this. How many of you think or pretty sure you might be valedictorian or salutatorian of your class? What about top 20 or top 25% of your students? There you go. There's your band students, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll look at a couple more accolades later on in the program today. This is our 11th and 12th grade symphonic band. They're going to be opening their concert with Celebration Fanfare by Stephen Reinecke. They will be performing a beautiful piece called Rest by Frank Kelly. And a classic to the band repertoire is the British 8th March by Zoe Elliott, arranged by Quincy Hilliard. And then they will close with the Hymn of St. James. They're being conducted this afternoon by Dr. Peter Boonshaft from Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York. Music educators know that name very well. He's written numerous books. He has performed for many of our presidents and even Margaret Thatcher. He has performed for governors and received recognition all over the country and all over the world. And he is one of those inspirational people that encourages not just music educators, but all teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our 11th and 12th grade symphonic band and their conductor, Dr. Peter Boonshaft.
good afternoon. The piece we're about to perform needs a bit of information before one can listen to it fully. It is a beautiful composition on its own, but when one knows the story that brings each sound you'll hear from this stage to life, it has a deeper meaning, a profound meaning. I told the students that I hope no one they love leaves this world until they're 150, but that time is a gift promised to no one. And the source of this composition represents that fact. The composer's dear friend lost a young child. A tragedy as a father I can't imagine the likes of. Dr. Kelly realized that he could say nothing to comfort his friend in words, so he took to his music. And he wrote a piece for choir entitled "There Will Be Rest." Some years later, decided the piece needed to be played by this group of musicians. And the composition was composed as the title, Rest. Every word from that text is played on this stage. And I dare say, even after 2 days, each of these students knows the word that represents every sound they're uttering. For truly, every sound has a word. From the following poem by the great Sarah Teasdale, a poem that is as profound as it is sad, as glorious as words could represent the most horrific. There will be rest, and sure stars shining, over the rooftops crowned with snow, a rain of rest, serene forgetting, the music of stillness holy and low. I will make this world of my devising. Out of a dream in my lonely mind, I shall find the crystal of peace. Above me, stars I shall find.
Dr. Boonshaft has several books out: Teaching Music with Passion, Teaching Music with Purpose, Teaching Music with Promise. His autobiography should be Conducting with Passion. Wow. Thank you so much. And welcome to Georgia. We've been trying to get him here for about 3 or 4 years, and he kept blowing us off to go to Texas. You went to Texas. We had fried green tomatoes last night, and he enjoyed those. I could tell he really enjoyed those. We're going to have barbecue tonight, so that'll be great. Again, sitting in this ensemble, Governor's Honors Program, in music or any subject in the Governor's Honors Program, either you're going this coming summer or you went last summer, raise your hand. GHB. Okay, terrific. Now, here's something that's kind of become a tradition at District Honor Band. All of the seniors in the 12th, 11th, and 12th grade band, please stand, all of the seniors. Let's give them a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Seated. And what about, okay, if you have made District Honor Band all 4 years of high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, I mean, all 4 years of high school, if you've made District Honor Band, stand up. All 4 years of high school. Here's a fun question. those of you who are still standing, if you've made district honor band every year since 7th grade to 12th grade, or maybe you tried out, you're one of these little prodigy things, you tried out in 6th grade and made it. Some of y'all are going, that's me. If you've made it every single year you've tried out since 7th grade, stand up. And again, in 2 weeks is our Georgia All-State Band down in Athens, or over in Athens, at the Classic Center there. A wonderful weekend. All-State Band, All-State Orchestra is happening. And in Georgia we also have an All-State Chorus that is terrific, that meets, I think next week is All-State Chorus. We also have an All-State Jazz Band in Georgia that met last month. And I think we have 3 gentlemen that are in the All-State Jazz. Would you guys stand if you were in All-State Jazz? Is there... someone in the 9th and 10th grade band that was in All-State Jazz? Stand up. There he is. Okay. Terrific. Now, all of you who are headed down or headed over, I'm staying down in Savannah, but if you're heading over to Athens in a couple of weeks for the Georgia All-State Band, you're a member of that group. You worked very hard. Even if you didn't make it, you worked hard. Just to get to go to the audition. All of our All-State Band members stand. We want to recognize you. Thank you, folks. Be seated. Isn't that wonderful? How many of you have never been to ISS? No. Probably all 99% of them, except for maybe the tuba section. Just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned earlier in our concert earlier today, we had 3 of our colleagues from District 7 that passed away this academic year since school has started this year. And all 3 of them were men that all of us loved and admired, and those of us that grew up in District 7 as a student, like myself and many other directors in this district, and had the privilege to be a colleague of those men later on. We wanted to honor, yes, these students, but remember them and honor their memory this afternoon. Paul Ramsey was the director of bands. Troy, you want to come on up? And Paul Ramsey was the director of bands at Haralson County High School for many, many years, and developed a wonderful band program there. He was one of the wittiest human beings I've ever met. There's a picture on Facebook of Paul in a Volkswagen Beetle convertible with a tuba bell sticking out of the top of the sunroof. He's just a great guy and a lot of fun, and we used to sit in the hospitality room and just laugh till, time to take the kids to lunch, So Paul was wonderful, but a great music educator. And any students on the stage, or possibly even in the 9th and 10th band, had Mr. Paul Ramsey as a band director? Would you stand? Any Haralson County students there? We have the Paul Ramsey Tuba Awards we'll give to the first chair tubas in the 11th and 12th grade band. And this is Troy Thompson. He's now the director of bands at Haralson County High School and was Paul's assistant for many, many years there, a very close friend of his. And this award is presented to Mr. Giovanni Dorsonville from Douglas County High School. If you'd come up to the front, please. We're getting the picture from MySpace. What? It's neat how everybody got quiet. Oh, shh, they're taking a picture. Thank you. Dale Schaffner was the director of bands at Rossville High School for 38 years. He was the principal flautist in the Chattanooga Symphony. The band tradition that we enjoy here in the northern part of District 7 and all throughout District 7 and even in the Chattanooga area can be traced back to Mr. Dale Schaffner. He was in the 3rd Army in World War II, the 3rd Army Band under General George S. Patton. He's a member of the Georgia Bandmasters Hall of Fame, an elected member of that prestigious fraternity of directors. When he was elected to that honor, he conducted the Ringgold High Band on a concert at the GMEA convention. Mr. Schaffner, what do you want to conduct? I want to do the Washington Grays March. Because when I was a little boy, my father took me to the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, and the Marine Band played Washington Grays in front of President Roosevelt's car, so I would like to play that march. And then he called back 3 minutes later and said, no. In 1945, when we finally connected with the Soviets and there in Germany, we combined with the Soviet band, and they had never heard Sousa marches before. And so we played Sousa marches with the Russian band. And they loved the Pathfinder of Panama, so I like to do that march. It was just a wonderful experience there. Mickey Fisher was one of thousands of students of Dale Schaffner's, and Mickey nominated him for the Georgia Bandmasters Hall of Fame. Mickey taught in this district for 36 years at Dalton and continues to teach at Berry College. Mickey, would you come up? Mickey runs the Bravo Music Camps. The Dale Schaffner Flute Award goes to Sophia Inaba from Woodland High School. And finally, Dr. Boonshaft, we want to present you to Peter Boonshaft in appreciation for your dedicated service from the Georgia Music Educators Association, District 7 Symphonic Band, February 14th, 2015. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for your friendship. Congratulations.
Thank you. When I was a young person, I had the honor of playing in festivals such as this, and they would always end the same way. Concert would finish, I'd meet my folks in the lobby. My mom would be crying, so she really didn't say anything, just give me a hug. And my dad would give me this big bear hug, and he'd always say the same thing. The music was wonderful. I just wish the guest conductor wouldn't give a speech. But with all due respect to my dad, who lived in Mercer, Georgia, by the way, I would be remiss if not to say a couple of things at this moment. The first is, my friends, you are part of a giant fraud. A lie, dishonor, the likes of which should be on the evening news. For you see, the fraud, the scam that you are part of, is that I would allow you for half a second to think that I had anything whatsoever to do with this group of young people you see on this stage and their performance today. You see, the fraud is that I got to come in here and make music with these amazing young people, when the people who deserve your credit, your applause, the opportunity to make this great music with them, are the people who really deserve the credit. See, they're the teachers of music from this great district. The ones who put the instruments in their hands when they're little, and the ones who take them to the cream of the crop. The ones who have them on the best of days, and that day it snows before Thanksgiving vacation. The ones who start them in August and stay with them for the rest of their lives. Would you help me please set the record straight and thank the people who deserve your applause, the teachers of music in the districts. I want to thank our wonderful managers, Mr. Bearden and Mr. Brown, for all of their efforts. Our incredible host. Mr. Calloway thought of things that we should have thought of and no one ever did, but he did, and it was done before we even knew to ask. I want to thank him for his hospitality and his kindness and all his talents, and allowing us into his beautiful facility. I want to thank Mr. Wright and Mr. Christian for letting us be part of this wonderful place that they now call home. I want to thank all of the officers of the association for their efforts. I want to thank the administration of every school district for knowing what is truly important in education, and the parents and family members. Did you ever think when they came home with their instruments when they were little, made those first sounds, you looked them dead in the eyes and you said, "No, honey, you sound wonderful." Did you ever think it would come true like this? Without your support and your efforts, none of this would be possible. And lastly, the young people on the stage. The great Carlyle said, "Music is a sort of unfathomable speech that allows you at once to gaze into the infinite." For these couple few days, I know exactly what he meant. For I've had the honor of standing here, gazing into the eyes of the infinite. You can tell what kind of musicians they are. But what I hope you understand is the people they are. There is not one on this stage that I would not take home and make a member of my family. Now, I know a few here thinking of taking me up on it. I mean it with the deepest of conviction. They are some of the finest human beings the world has. And as I get to the end of my career, and as my students have now started calling me an old man, I take comfort in the fact that these are the faces that will take this great district and this great state and our nation forward. And I have every confidence because of it. The people, they've been, even laughed at my dumb jokes, are a gift that I will take with me forever. The last piece we'd like to leave you with today needs a bit of explanation. Reber Clark decided he would be among the composers throughout history who have asked a simple question: does evil always be triumphed by good? Does good always win? Many composers have asked the question in many ways. Mr. Clarke decided to take the lovely hymn tune, Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silent, as the basis of the piece. And every word from it is portrayed in sounds on this stage in ways that are magical. And you'll hear the melody played, but it will be very obvious to you it represents good. But even more obvious will be evil, for you will grit your teeth and grimace, for he represented evil about as ugly as is possible. And it keeps coming back. Does good win? And evil always gets pushed aside. Until finally the French horns, who through the entire piece have said, good will always triumph, they turn and say, maybe not. Until the rest of the band decides, at the moment of the great Amen, that that is unacceptable, and turn the French horns back to good. And answer the question finally with three last poses of the question before it ultimately resolves. Amen and amen. Good will always prevail. Until our paths cross again, because I can feel my Father's presence from above, we will leave you with Reaver Clarke's Hymn of St. James.
until the team of District 7